Well, welcome everyone. This is Michael Dotterer, and you're on the dot. And we have a great show for you today. I have a very special guest who's going to be joining me in a few minutes here. But before we introduce her, I'd like to wish happy birthday as we always do. We start our show off with birthdays. And I want to wish happy birthday to my high school teammate. We ran track together, and he's one of the greatest running backs in Southern California history, Kerwin Bell, who went on to star at the University of Kansas. And I want to wish happy birthday to Kerwin. I think he's out there in Huntington Beach, California. And I want to wish happy birthday to Rob Malucky, who was also a teammate of mine in high school. Happy birthday, Rob. And he was a running back. And I want to wish a happy birthday to Courtney Hum. Courtney's father was David Hum, who was a quarterback and a great Raider, backed up Kenny Stabler, and just a great guy. And his daughter, Courtney, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Courtney. And happy birthday to Sally Ride, who is no longer with us, but she was the first woman in space. It would have been her 71st birthday today. And let's see here. Happy birthday to, I think that's it. But there's a lot of other birthdays out there. So if it is your birthday and I didn't say your name, happy birthday. It's May 26th, and we're getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. And it's a time to celebrate those that have given their service to the country. To the United States, but for all those veterans out there all over the world who are fighting for liberty and freedom and what we have here in the United States, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of economic opportunity, for all those that are fighting for that cause. Hopefully, when you fight, it's a peaceful, revolution. You can do so much. Dr. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Albert Einstein, Eleanor Roosevelt, all of those leaders found a way to bring about change. Rosa Parks, great Nelson Mandela. There's so many people out there that have shown us a path for peace and prosperity on our planet. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her. She's right now in the back. It's behind the curtains, but she, as you can see here, Spire Academy. And the reason I heard about Spire Academy, I called my good friend, Candice Wiggins. And when I say good friend, we have become good friends because we both have same background in the sense we both played two sports at Stanford University. Candice played basketball and volleyball, and I played American football and baseball. And I knew about Candice because I was a big fan of her father's, because he was a great player with the San Diego Padres, and I remember her father well. And she is just one of the most famous, illustrious basketball players in Stanford history. She's a member of the Stanford Hall of Fame. And then she went on to a great WNBA career. And the reason I say great, she was on a WNBA championship team. And I'm going to let her tell you a little more about her background, where she grew up. And but the reason we brought her on is not only talk about sports, but talk about this amazing academy, Spire Academy. So without further ado, I want to bring on my good friend.
Hi.
Hi, Candice.
Thank you for that introduction. That is so humbling. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike.
Well, we're humbled to have you on the dot, Candice. And a lot of people out there, I would say lots of people know who you are, but there are probably a few people that are listening live that would like to know more. So if you could just share with everyone, a little bit about your background. And I'm sure I missed a lot. And the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, it's overwhelming, first of all, just to kind of think about my career in a way that I'm looking back. For a lot of my life, I was always trying to, just go forward and understand my future was really what was driving me as a child. So it's kind of interesting to be here now in this place. I think the Stanford Hall of Fame induction was definitely a place where it took me, where I was like, wow, I really need to look back and reflect. Now it's basically, the past. I have to kind of, so I'm going to try to get through that quickly. But I really wanted to talk to, like you mentioned, about the future, the present and the future, because that to me is really where I'm living now. And I think the entire world right now, we really just need to, have some hope for the future and just think about those types of things that matter, what we're living in now. So I'll just briefly, discuss the past. I was born in Baltimore. As you mentioned, my dad, he was a Major League Baseball player. He played for the Padres and the Orioles, and it's a huge part of my identity is the daughter of a Major League Baseball player. But I grew up in San Diego, California. I would say, just to summarize my childhood, there was a lot of tragedy in my life. My father died in 91 from AIDS. It was really devastating to our family. And but I would say that even, my father, he worked really hard and was able to give us a better life, And so the two words that I would say, that kind of describe my childhood, very privileged and, a little sheltered as well, but not in a way that was, destructive. It was actually very constructive for my life. I was very, very focused. So I attended La Jolla Country Day School in La Jolla, California. And then I was privileged enough to attend Stanford University, where I was a 4-time All-American there, had the most amazing experience, amazing people. At La Jolla Country Day in Stanford, it was all about the great people. And then I was, again, privileged to be drafted into the WNBA in 2008, 3rd overall pick to the Minnesota Lynx. I played there for 5 seasons. Like you mentioned, won a championship in 2011. Probably the greatest moment of my life was winning that WNBA championship in 2011 for sure. It was everything that I had strived for in my life. It was what was driving me. And also something that my father wasn't able to accomplish. He led the Padres to the World Series in 1984, but fell short. So I really wanted to do that as a tribute to him and just, show my appreciation to his sacrifices and his love for his passion for his sport. That was my completion of that. And I was able to accomplish that and more, because it was like, it was kind of a different barriers that I had to cross, obstacles that I faced, challenges that my father didn't face as a woman. And so it was really fun to see that, and just to see how much winning is universal. There's no, it changes everything, the dynamic of how we communicate and interact with each other through sport. So then I finished my career and I played in 4 countries, Spain, Greece, Israel, and Turkey, amazing places. Won a lot of championships and, a lot of that. And then I played in 4 different teams in the WNBA, Tulsa, LA, and I finished in New York, the Liberty, in 2015. And then I retired in 2016, which that's kind of where my second part of my life began. And a huge significant portion of my professional career ended. And I think there's a lot of questions about, my retirement. And that's kind of something that I would want to talk about. But basically, and I'll follow up with this, Michael, in a second. But basically, the reasoning behind my retirement, I would say early retirement, is now kind of lining up with my current position. And that position is as women's basketball director and head coach at Spire Institute and Academy in Geneva, Ohio. So I'm really just excited because Spire is the perfect platform for me to continue my story and tell it in an everyday context, so that I'm actually living my life in a way where, I'm able to still be Candice Wiggins that everyone kind of resonates with, but I can also kind of the future. What is Candice Wiggins going to be today and tomorrow?
Well, Candice, you're a superstar. And, when we were talking about a few weeks ago, and I thought of Phil Jackson and John Wooden, and I believe you're a combination. You're a combination of Phil Jackson and John Wooden, but focused on women's basketball. In the Spire Academy, which you can see back here, is so fortunate to have you. And could you talk a little bit about why you're so excited about Spire?
Oh, it is a destination of all destinations. It is so amazing. It's hard to really describe Spire. To me, it's more like a seeing is believing. Being here is really what would really, I think, illustrate all of the qualities of it. But basically, there's nothing really like it. There's nothing that I've seen like it. I'm so just attached to education. I just think about all the things that all the different elements of my existence that education has unlocked. There's like all these different keys, and it's just there's keys to life, and beyond just this classroom or the court. And I think that Spire is a place that really helps you identify those keys and gives you the tools that you need to unlock them. And I've only been here for a short while. I've only been here for just a little over 2 weeks now. I think it's going on week 3, and every single day is just the space. It's to describe it, it's it's an academy and an institution. So there's it's a preparatory school that just allows you to do everything. You go to school here, you eat, you train, and all encompassing. You live on campus. And I think about the reason what drew me to Spire is I think about all my experiences growing up. And I had a lot, just La Jolla Country Day and Stanford, and Spire just feels like kind of a combination of all of those places in one, and even in the professional world. And it's so cool because it is, there's an independent feeling here. It's an independent school. So it's just something where you just have this, you just feel so empowered every day. It's the people. So every place that I've been to in my life, the people have always been the significant part of the environment and the experience. And at Spire, it's just, you can't find better people. So that's kind of what makes Spire unique to me. But I'm still also learning more, every day is like it's just, you learn so much more.
Well, I always say, Candice, when you stop learning, that's probably when you're no longer here, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So Aspire is so fortunate to have you. And, it's in Geneva, Ohio, which is just right outside of one of my favorite cities, Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. You did mention Cleveland. Yes, it is. And yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm going to flash. I've got this ticker tape I'm going to show right now. You've got a great basketball clinic coming up. And I just want to let you know, I was able to take that long URL and turn it into a short bit.ly.
Thank you. You're the best, Michael.
So if you can see here, for more information on the Spire Experience Women's Basketball Clinic that Candice is going to talk about, just go to bit.ly/Spire BB Camp.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. And yes, it's just a 3-hour clinic, and it's really kind of the exclamation point. They already have amazing camps that they run at Spire. So it's the end of there's a week-long camp. So you can check out all the different camps at Spire, but this is just a specific Candice Wiggins experience. And in terms of just kind of my first introduction on the court working there. So if you really, if you're interested, and if you're in the area, if a lot of people they're from Cleveland, you mentioned Cleveland, and they've never seen Spire. They've never even heard of Spire. So this is a time, this date, this week is a perfect time to learn more about what Spire is, and more importantly, what Candice Wiggins is doing there, and why she, wants you there with her.
Well, again, I mentioned the great John Wooden in that book he wrote, The Pyramid of Success. Mm-hmm. And I believe that you're on your way to building what John Wooden did at UCLA for young girls.
Well, I would be so honored to be in that company and to have that kind of legacy and impact. It's definitely something that I want to do. And I would say, just going off of what I said earlier, I think that the woman experience, the female experience in sports, specifically basketball, is a lot different than the men. So I would definitely be catering to that plight. But I just think that, my philosophy as a coach here at Spire is 2 things: injury prevention and mental health. And I would say, without, expounding on that in too much detail, those 2 things, those 2 factors, injury prevention, injuries, and mental health, were the 2, I would say, most distinguishing factors of what led to my early retirement in the WNBA. And so it was kind of hard to communicate that, especially mental health. In 2015, 2016, when I was making the decision basically to end my career, it wasn't something that there was a lot of support in those two elements, those two. And I think we've gotten a lot better, but Spire is a place where if I were to be John Wooden or be, that is what I would want my legacy to be, contributed and be the distinguishing factor is, the emphasis on injury prevention and mental health. And it's kind of my bridge to my retirement and being able to tell my story without, just being really optimistic. We're in a very pessimistic world right now. And I think hope, optimism, and most of all, conflict resolution is key. And I think this is the best way that I'm able to, just kind of witness where I'm at. So people might, the joy that I have and every day it's Spire's a place where you can see that and see me kind of finish that story, the incomplete story.
Well, you are just, I'm so excited. I wish I could get out there and be in the camp. But I am coming out. I'm going to come out for a tour to see you. So
I can't wait, Michael.
Really
you're
excited to,
it's one thing to see it, but it's one thing to be here and experience it.
Yeah. Well, what we do on the Dot is it's about you, Candice. It's about your vision. It's about the Spire Academy. And what we do, which is unlike probably any other show out there, you get the last word. And there's probably a lot of young girls out there that are going to hear this. Hopefully this will go viral. What message do you want to leave with, young girls and probably young boys, young athletes out there? You get the last word. And again, thank you so much for coming on the Dot, Candice.
Well, thank you for the last word, Michael. I would say this is going to, again, relate to my retirement, my surprise early retirement, and just life after basketball. I really want to reemphasize to athletes, to young student athletes, or even professionals, wherever you are in your stage, you're going to end up not playing anymore. You're going to be retired. You're not going to be doing the same things that you used to do. And so I would say that my biggest message would be, this is how you want to end. You want to make sure that you end your career with no regrets. And it's the hardest thing. I think that's the difficulty. The question that I get asked often is, well, don't you miss it? Don't you miss being a professional athlete? Don't you miss it? And I am so happy that I can say, no, I don't miss it. I never missed it a day of a single day. I've never missed playing because of the approach that I took since I was 5 years old, approaching the sport of basketball, which was 100% effort, 100% commitment, 100% dedication, and just being invested and being engaged with the day to day, every single day. And that's the same with school too. That's how I treated school as well. And I think you can apply it to everything, but specifically from the athlete's perspective, that's the only way that you're going to have no regrets. That's the only way that you're going to look back and say, oh man, I wish you're not going to have to feel that way. So I would just say that keep that in mind. Some days you're like, why am I doing this? Or I don't want to do this, or you want to quit, or you're not really sure, or you don't feel like it that day, or maybe you're distracted. Just understand that one day you're going to be done playing basketball or playing your sport, and you're going to have to decide, do you really miss it? Do you really miss it? And it's going to be, you can say you miss it, you can lie, or if you're, but you're never going to be able to erase that fact. You're never going to be able to get away from that if you do have regrets, if you didn't give it 100%. So that's what I would just say. If people are wondering, that's how I feel. And that's the most important. Really, that's the only thing that really stays with you and lingers, especially even if you had all these accomplishments, there's still that left of, did I give it everything I had? Did I give it everything? And I can say I gave it everything. So I'm so happy, because now it's just you can just relax and understand that you don't have to look back at all. So I just think that I really want to emphasize that that is something that that would probably be the number one thing. And just that's something that I really want to instill in my players, kind of teaching them that approach. Not everyone understands how do you feel that way. And I will say the one thing I do miss one thing. I won't lie. The one thing I do miss was just performing for the fans, in front of an audience. That there's no feeling like that ever that I'll ever feel and I ever felt. It was specifically when I got to the professional stage, playing in Minnesota in the Target Center, playing, in the BOK Center and in Tulsa, playing for the fans at Staples Center in LA, and then most of all, playing in front of the fans in Madison Square Garden. Like I'll never forget that. And I'll always, and even overseas too, there was other countries as well, but just nothing like playing on the home soil. And there was nothing like, performing for the fans who paid, their hard-earned money to watch me play. And that's really who I played for, the audience. And if I'm being honest, that is the one thing that I do miss, but there's no regret with that, so there's no regrets because I really played for them. So it was perfect for me. Ideal situation where I can look back and just be really happy and know that I did everything that I gave it 100. And so that's what I would just encourage others to say. If that was the last thing I would tell you, understand that you're going to have a real relationship with that question. Do you miss it? Thank you, Michael. Thank you.